Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to Aussie Fish Keeping. So in today's video, we're actually going to be doing a little bit of a different video, and we're actually going to be taking a look at the top 7 oddball aquarium fish that you can get for your aquarium. So as for the criteria, I guess I used to decipher which fish I would put on this list, I basically just picked 7 species that can't really be substituted for other species. They're just completely unique species and you can't get anything else like them in the hobby. So yeah, it should be a super fun video, and it's definitely a great video if you want to find a nice little quirky personable fish for your aquarium. But I guess without any further ado, let's just jump straight into today's video with the first fish on our list. So also I will just quickly mention, we're going to start with the least oddballish of all the fish, and then we're going to work our way up to the big dogs. So yeah, with that said, the first fish on our list today is hatchet fish. So hatchet fish are a super cool little fish. I do believe they're distantly related to tetras, so they're very similar to them in the fact that they're a small fish, they're schooling, and they are super peaceful community fish. So hatchet fish are a super cool fish. Obviously they're called hatchet fish because they're shaped like a hatchet. But one of the great things about these guys is they are a top dwelling fish. So they're a great fish to add into your aquarium if you want to add an extra layer of interest. Just because these guys are strictly top water fish. So they're literally just going to sit on the top of your water. Well, not on the top of your water, but just beneath the surface. So on top of that, like I said before, they're super peaceful. So they can go with all sorts of small tropical schooling fish or catfish and all sorts of little tropical fish like that. The only problem that you may have, and something that you do need to look out for if you are keeping these guys, is that you may find your other fish in your aquarium actually nip at the bottom of your hatchet fish, which will obviously stress them out just because their eyes are at the top of their head, so they can't really see other fish nipping at them. And these guys are quite prone to jumping, so if they do get freaked out, they can quite easily jump out of your aquarium, and you definitely don't want that whatsoever. So they're definitely a species that you need a lid on your tank for. But yeah, as for water parameters for these guys, they do a little bit of warmer water. So your temperature should be anywhere between 24 to 27 degrees Celsius, which is around that 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And then your pH should just be a general 6 to 7. So the other cool thing about these guys is I believe they can tolerate a little bit lower of a pH. So they're a great fish for any blackwater setups. And the other really cool thing is that they're actually completely shrimp safe. So obviously your shrimp occupy the bottom of your aquarium and the hatchet fish will occupy the top of your aquarium. So they're never really going to meet, which means your hatchet fish are never going to eat your cherry shrimp. But yeah, with that said, hatchet fish are a super cool little oddball fish, and I would highly recommend them for your aquarium. Moving on to the next fish on our list, we have another super cool fish. We have blind cave tetras. So like the name suggests, these guys are literally just a blind fish that's found in caves in Mexico, I believe. And I actually have kept these guys before, way back when I was 6 or 7, and I really did love them. So these guys are definitely a little bit more of a freaky fish. They're kind of pink and they just don't have eyes, which back when I was 7, I absolutely dig that sort of stuff. But yeah, these guys are a super peaceful fish just because they don't have eyes, so they're not really going to be nipping at any other fish. The only problem is, like the hatchet fish, you're going to want to make sure you don't have any fish nipping at them. Because they don't have eyes, they can't see, and they could just be absolutely bullied by your other fish. So as for water parameters for these guys, they can actually tolerate really low temperatures just because they come from caves, and obviously there's no sun in the caves. So your temperature should be around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, which is around 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And then your pH should just be anywhere between 6.5 to 7.5. So another thing about these guys is that they're super easy to care for. I kept them when I was 6, and I was really dumb when I was 6. So if I can keep blind cave tetras, you definitely can as well. So these guys, I would actually love to breed one day, just because I've heard that when they first hatch, they actually do have eyes, which is kind of weird because obviously they don't have eyes when they're adults. So I don't know if they just absorb them or something. So yeah, with that being said, if you are into really freaky looking fish, I would highly recommend blind cave tetras. Moving on to the next fish on our list, we have one that I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna know. We have Khuli Loaches. So these guys I first fell in love with when I was, again, about 5 or 6, and I just saw these guys in the store one day and I literally thought they were a little lizard or a snake or something, I don't even know. But basically, if you don't know what a Khuli Loach is, it's just like a really long, skinny, slimy little loach, and it kind of looks freakishly like an eel. But besides them being super uncomfortable to look at, they are actually super beneficial to have in your aquarium. So not only will they pick up scraps that your other fish like miss, but if you have pest snails in your aquarium, you can actually collect up some small snails, crush them up, and drop them in your aquarium. And those will obviously sink down to the bottom, and your Khuli Loaches will actually eat those. As well as that, these guys are super peaceful. So they are a bottom dwelling fish, which means you can keep them with all sorts of rasboras, tetras, barbs, hatchet fish. Literally any small tropical fish can go with these guys. They're literally just gonna mind their own business, and most of the time I found that they just hide during the day anyway. Although I've had a lot of my subscribers comment down below that they actually have like cool Khuli Loaches somehow, and their Khuli Loaches come out, which is absolutely insane. I've literally barely ever seen a Khuli Loach. But yeah, as for water parameters for these guys, they do like a little bit of a higher temperature again. So anywhere between 24 to 30 degrees Celsius, which is obviously around 75 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And then they also like a bit of a lower pH, so anywhere between 5.5 to 6.5 should do. But yeah, with that being said, if you are looking for some sort of like miniature eel, I would highly recommend getting Khuli Loaches for your aquarium. As for the next fish on our list, we have black ghost knifefish. So I should have really just said ghost knifefish in general, but to be honest, black ghost knifefish are the coolest by far. If you don't know what a black ghost knifefish is, it's basically just like this long fish. It's got like a really weird little frilly fin along its bottom, and it's got like a super cool little tail that kind of looks like a stingray tail. So they're definitely like a super freakish looking little fish, but I used to absolutely love them, and I still do. The only reason I don't have them is because they do get a little bit big, so I believe they do max out at around 50 centimeters. And as you can see behind me, I definitely don't have any tanks to have them in. So in my opinion, the coolest thing about these guys is that they actually produce little electrical currents. And I believe they use these electrical currents just to like get around and find hiding spaces. So because of that, you do actually need to have like some sort of hiding spot for them. But obviously because they're blind, you can actually just throw in like a clear PVC or some sort of clear pipe, and they'll actually find their way into there, and they'll think they're safe, which obviously, I mean, they are going to be safe, but you're just going to be able to see them a lot easier. As for water parameters for these guys, they do like a temperature anywhere between 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, which is around 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And they also like a pH of around 6.8 to 7.8. So I will just quickly say, these guys are definitely not a community friendly fish. I mean, they are like a community friendly fish if you have them with the right fish, but they definitely can't go with small tetras, rasboras, endless guppies, corridors, all sorts of those smaller tropical fish. However, they can most likely go with larger sized barbs, tetras, like Congo tetras, and like bristlenose and all sorts of big bodied fish like that. But yeah, with that being said, if you are looking for, in my opinion, one of the coolest oddball fish, I would highly recommend getting some black ghost knifefish. Moving on to the next fish on our list, I'm not gonna lie, I could have slipped this in with like the first ones, but we have glass catfish. So these guys are like a little skinny see-through fish. Like you can literally see all their bones, their organs. It's kind of weird. So the cool thing about these guys though is that they are a like free water swimming catfish. So they're going to swim around like the mid column in your aquarium, and they do like to school. So you can just have like this massive school of see-through fish. On top of that, they're super peaceful, and they're a great fish to put in with like tetras, rasboras, all sorts of smaller fish like that. And I believe they're relatively beginner friendly, so they're not too hard to care for. They don't require any like weird water parameters. And with that being said, as for the water parameters for these guys, they're like a temperature of around 24 to 26 degrees Celsius, which is around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And they like a pH anywhere between 5 to 7.5. So they're definitely a versatile little fish. They can go in like a wide variety of tank setups and tank styles. And yeah, they're definitely just a great little oddball fish if you are looking for something a bit quirky. As for the next fish on our list, we have another one of my favorites. We have African butterfly fish. So like the name suggests, these guys are like just a little butterfly looking thing. They chill at the top of your water, and they're almost like a little arowana. So their face looks like very similar to an arowana, and they actually eat from the surface. So you can throw in things like crickets or like roaches, and even all sorts of like pellets and stuff, and they will just absolutely smash them at the surface of the water. But they also will definitely go after smaller like tetras, rasboras, so you have to be careful what you keep them with. And I would highly recommend just keeping them with some sort of bottom dwelling fish that's not really going to get in their way. As for the water parameters for these guys, they do like a temperature of around 23 to 30 degrees Celsius and a pH of around 6 to 7.5. These guys, again, are relatively easy to care for. The only thing that I think sets them apart from a beginner fish is that they do definitely need like insects in their diet, just because that's what they eat out in Africa. And a lot of beginners aren't going to really have either enough time, or they're just not going to want to go and get crickets and stuff to feed them every week. But with that being said, you definitely do need to mix up their diet with frozen foods, other live aquatic foods like live blackworms, and all sorts of pelleted diets as well. But yeah, African butterfly fish are definitely another super great oddball fish, and I would highly recommend them for your aquarium. Moving on to the final fish on our list. This one's like the big boss for unique aquarium fish. We have freshwater pipefish. So these guys are another one of my absolute favorite aquarium fish. I would actually go as far as saying that they may actually be my favorite. I've had them before and they were absolutely one of the coolest fish I've ever had. So if you don't know what a freshwater pipefish is, it's very similar to the saltwater pipefish, except it's a little more bland. But basically, it's just like this long fish. Kind of looks like a pipe, I guess. So I actually don't know if these guys are native to Africa or Australia or both. I've been doing a bit of research on them, and a lot of sources have said they're native to Africa and heaps have said they're native to Australia, but I really don't know at this point. These guys are definitely not a beginner fish, and they're definitely a fish that you're gonna want to try and keep in a species only tank, just because they're super delicate and peaceful, and they really don't like any flow or any other fish in there with them. And back when I had these guys, I used to have to feed them around 2 to 3 times a day, just because they've got a really small stomach, so you just constantly need to be pumping them with food. And the other thing that doesn't make these guys a beginner fish is that they do like super high pH. So as for the water parameters, you're gonna wanna keep these guys in a temperature of around 23 to 27 degrees Celsius, which is around 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. And your pH should be anywhere between 6 to 8. Which, I mean, isn't too hard to achieve. A lot of cichlid keepers keep their tanks really high pH as well, and the main thing you need is some sort of pH buffering substrate, and you can just put that under your like sand, or you can just use that as the substrate. But yeah, with that being said, pipefish are another super great, super cool oddball aquarium fish, and I would highly recommend them if you have enough time to care for them. So yeah, that is gonna actually bring us to the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I helped you guys find a brand new oddball fish for your aquarium. I haven't mentioned this in any other videos, but I will just quickly mention it now. If you guys have any other like video ideas or requests you want me to film, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I will definitely go out of my way to film any video that you guys want. Currently, I am working on a few like breeding videos and fish room tour and all sorts of stuff like that. And very shortly, I'm gonna be announcing a new series, breeding series that we're gonna do here on the channel. It's gonna be super fun, and I'm really sure a lot of you are gonna enjoy it. But yeah, enough of all that. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to go down and smash the like button. Comment your thoughts on the video down below, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you're interested in any aquarium fish, make sure to go check out the link to my online store in the description. I've got all sorts of aquarium products on there, and they're super cheap. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in that next video.